After 10 years on YouTube and 500,000 subscribers, you might be a little surprised to know how much my channel generated in the last 12 months. So let's take a look. So in the last 12 months, my channel has generated $22,000. Not quite what you were expecting. Well, meanwhile, my business off of YouTube generated this much. And keep in mind, this was during the first year of my daughter's life, the first year of me becoming a mother. And that's important to note because my top priority is peace. And so I'm not constantly creating content. I'm not constantly posting on YouTube. I'm not trying to go viral. I've spent close to a decade honing a strategy to create stable, predictable, and consistent income off of YouTube, but using YouTube as a tool. And that is the strategy I'm gonna break down in this video. And not only have I done this for myself, I've done this for thousands of other people. And I'm gonna share some real, incredible, powerful examples of that in this video as well. And again, this is not coming from AdSense or affiliates or sponsorships. This is coming from one income source using YouTube as the tool, but using YouTube to benefit off of YouTube. So if you're sitting there going, 500,000 subscribers and $22,000 in 12 months, how does that make any sense? Well, YouTube is incredible. I love this platform, but using it alone to build a business is a really shaky road. So I'm gonna show you exactly what you can do instead. But before I do, let's make the math kind of make sense and break down those income numbers. Plus, if you're serious about building a business off of YouTube, we've put together a free case study breaking down how a YouTube channel with less than 100 subscribers is generating 6 figures a month. Comment case study below and we'll send you the link to access it. This channel that you're watching earned $22,000 over the course of an entire year. That's about $1,800 a month or around $10 an hour. So this is the breakdown, and that's $10 an hour if you're putting in, 40 hours a week every week. So YouTube is obviously, it's a great platform for creativity and visibility, but if we're really honest with ourselves, depending on it alone is a very shaky plan. So I want to share something with you that I've started focusing on years ago that completely changed the game in a majorly positive way when it comes to YouTube and controlling how you can generate consistent income from this platform. And it's called dollar per view versus virality. So let's dig into that. So part of the reason my channel has such low earnings is because I focus on something called dollar per view. So this is the acronym for it here. And that's versus virality. People think they need to go viral or have millions of subscribers to make a serious income online. But the truth is that's a losing battle. And YouTube income is incredibly unpredictable. My online education business, on the other hand, it's super consistent. It is stable, it is scalable. And I say this not with, 1 year under my belt in this business, but with nearly a decade of running this business behind me. So I know I have the data to back this up. This isn't just based on one good year. So it's not just me. To date, I've helped thousands of people implement this same strategy to really be able to control their income, control their freedom, have that freedom of choice, and use the strategy for themselves. So Denver is a great example. He generated $100,000 from just 96 subscribers in 30 days without creating new content.
I took the videos that I had recorded 1 year ago that had 13 views. I had my son, who at the time was 16, he's now 17. He's my video editor. And I showed him the framework that you teach of how do you actually convert and find and get the algorithm to find your ideal client avatar. So he's editing those old videos that I recorded a year ago. The next 30 days, I brought in cash, $102,900 in cash. That was with 96 subscribers.
So this isn't theory, it's really a system. And if you want the behind the scenes breakdown of exactly how Denver used this system, we put together a detailed case study for you. So you can comment case study below and we'll send you the link to access it for free. So you can see all of the behind the scenes little nitty gritty details to start implementing the system for yourself. So let me explain this very crucial concept and what I mean when I say dollar per view versus virality. So like I said, most people kind of just hop on this platform, start creating content, hope they go viral, hope they make a big income. But the cold hard truth, like I said, is that going viral is very difficult for a reason. If everyone went viral, it wouldn't really be considered going viral and it wouldn't be that exciting. So the algorithms on all platforms not just isolated to YouTube, but we're gonna talk about YouTube today, are purposely picky about what goes viral and what doesn't. And it creates a concept called fame scarcity. And this needs to really land for you right now. This concept was actually shared by a former bigwig from Google, which obviously owns YouTube, so he knows what he's talking about. And what it means is that only a very small percentage of people will ever go viral. And this puts the rest of us and puts people on a never-ending hamster wheel to try and attain something they probably will never actually have. So a study came out in 2017 that shared that only 1% of content on YouTube goes viral, meaning that it has more than 1 million views. And in today's world, that number is probably less due to the massive increase in content creators, meaning way more competition than before. So here's the crazy thing. Chasing virality does not mean you're actually getting anything in terms of income in return. So from AdSense alone, the average YouTuber is making 1 to 3 cents per view. This is why understanding this concept here is so important and how you can have it work in your favor. So that means that if you get, let's say, 100,000 views, you're gonna make, on the high end, $3,000, okay? That is 3 cents per view. So a long time ago, I've been on this platform for 10 years, almost 10 years, I stopped quantifying my success or really even caring about this kind of revenue, that AdSense revenue, because it will drive me crazy. And I started focusing on something I could actually control. Again, that's this dollar per view concept. So let's say you have one video that generates $100,000, okay? And it has 2,000 views. This turns that dollar per view into $50, which is a heck of a lot more than 1 to 3 cents. And this is within your control. The dollar per view puts you in the driver's seat, and it allows you to reframe the metrics that actually matter on YouTube. Instead of focusing on vanity metrics like going viral and getting a bunch of views for the sake of getting views, you focus on the quality of the views you actually are getting because they can turn into a real sustainable income. Let me show you how. So here's the key. YouTube is the tool. Okay, so YouTube is the tool. It is not the business. I've been on this platform, like I said, for very close to a decade, coming up on my 10-year anniversary. And I've learned that YouTube shouldn't be your business. It should be a tool that supports your business. And of course, it's up to you and your choice. But in my experience, this is a much more peaceful way to grow. So, better yet, it's really a vehicle that drives traffic to your business. So you want to think of YouTube as a way to reach the people who need you the most, build trust, establish authority, grow an audience, but it's not your whole business, okay? So for me, YouTube is really just the top of the funnel. It brings people in, it gets them familiar with what we do, but everything else happens off of the platform through my online education business. So that's what this is right here. This way, I'm not dependent on YouTube's algorithm, which quite frankly is like a roller coaster. You never know what's gonna happen. And you constantly have to create content to try and monetize through any kind of ad revenue. And as you've seen, it's not great. So I'm not worried about how many or how little views I get. And I'm not concerned with any fluctuations in ad revenue because that's not what I'm banking my entire business off of. So whether you are a freelancer, entrepreneur, consultant, creator, YouTube can help you attract your ideal clients on autopilot. But again, this is not the business. Does that make sense? It's a vehicle for the business. So you have to think beyond this platform. And I'm gonna, get into more detail on how to do that a little bit later in this video. But first you need to understand why YouTube is not enough. So when you think about monetizing on YouTube and you aren't leveraging something off the platform, really there are only a couple of ways to do so. And Generally, that comes down to things like AdSense, affiliate marketing, or sponsorships. So let's dig into why that's really risky. So those income streams are all unpredictable, as I mentioned. So one month you might be doing great, and maybe you made a piece of content that somehow the algorithm favored and it went viral. It's, a small percentage, like we said, that goes viral, but you've hit it big and you get, an influx of cash flow. But then that next month you see a huge drop in views and ad rates. And just like that, your income takes a hit. In that situation, YouTube really is your boss. And your job is to create content to keep your boss happy. And it's this really unhealthy roller coaster. You're up one month, you're down the next. It's super frustrating. So this is why building your entire, income off of this platform or on this platform is really, it's out of your control ultimately, and it's super dangerous. So it's like trying to build a house on a shaky foundation. The algorithms can change at any minute, and suddenly you're scrambling to figure out, how to make ends meet. I've actually heard from people, folks who watch these videos who've told me that that's happened to them and how frustrating it is. And all of a sudden they've gone from decent-ish income to absolutely nothing for years and years and years on end. So if you've ever tried to make money online, whether that's through social media, blogging, freelancing, you probably know exactly what I'm talking about, these income highs and lows. And it's really rough, but there's a reason that it happens like this. It puts you on this content creation hamster wheel. Ultimately, YouTube wants you to create content. So it works in their favor, the more content that you're putting out, because it accumulates for their signals, for their business to show that they have engaged users, they have eyeballs, etc. So you need to learn how to work this in your favor and make the algorithm work for you. But let's first talk about this hamster wheel that just puts you on this never-ending cycle of burnout and hustle on content creation. Because if you don't understand how it works, you're gonna probably miss it if it starts happening to you. So this hamster wheel just has you working for it, like I said, all the time. So what it means is that you get onto the platform and do what most people do, which is you just kind of like guess at what you should create in terms of your videos. And usually that's random content. It might not feel random to you, but to the algorithm, they don't just do with you. They don't know what your channel's about. They don't know how to categorize your channel. Therefore, you're not getting any help from YouTube itself to get more viewers on your content, which just leads to this never-ending cycle of creating content, more confusion, more content, more confusion, and ultimately no growth, no return, and just this really frustrating cycle of hustling, creating more content without getting anything out of it. So there is absolutely an opposite end of this that you can use to create a system and an engine that works for you when it comes to YouTube. But Denver actually was in this cycle before he started implementing our framework.
I recorded all of these videos. I worked my ass off. I did 30 videos in 30 days, and then we kept posting after that, and guess what? It went nowhere.
So just as a reminder, if you're ready to get off the content creation hamster wheel, comment case study below, and we'll send you the link to get access to the detailed breakdown of how Denver was able to turn 96 subscribers into $100,000 in 30 days, so you can then go ahead and apply it for yourself. Ultimately, what this is called, this really frustrating cycle, we call it the post and hope method. And this creates the loop. So ultimately, it means that you're focused on views and monetizing through AdSense, and you're chasing after something that only a small fraction of folks will actually really ever see. So it's very natural to just assume that the first step is just to start making content on YouTube, but just making YouTube videos alone does not build a business, and it doesn't ensure that you're gonna make a full-time income, and it certainly doesn't ensure you'll have freedom when you are constantly making content to chase after the algorithm. So again, you're working for it instead of working for you. So instead, you can control your income through YouTube. So how can you control and predict your income on this platform? It really comes down to very simple aspects of how this platform works. YouTube is a search engine. It's owned by the largest search engine in the world. And yes, it's an entertainment platform as well, but people are coming here for answers to questions and solutions. That's how they're naturally using this platform. So you just need to show up with what you know, and what you know will help people. The amount of views really don't matter. It doesn't matter how many views you get or how little views you get. The quality of those viewers is what matters. So determining who you want to reach with your content and what value you can provide to them, that puts you in control. This allows you to work with the natural function of YouTube, not against it. And it allows you to escape the time for money trap. So what I mean by that is making videos is a lot of work. So you want them to work for you and not just bank on hoping and posting so that the algorithm will serve you with views, because we know that that's not how it works. That's not how the system works. So you got to beat the system. So in order to understand how the mechanics work of this, I want to show you how to make the algorithm actually work for you and not the other way around. So we really need to break that down into the opposite engine that you can put into place for your channel and for your business. So this is how you have YouTube work in your favor. So we call this the engine that can really boost and run your channel to grow on autopilot by having the algorithm understand your content and work in your favor and grow your channel for you without you having to put as much effort in. So first and foremost, we need to know who is the ideal viewer, and I'm going to get into how to really identify that in a second. First and foremost, ideal viewer. From there, before you make any content, you want to understand this piece so that when you do make content, you're not making random content, you're making super relevant content to that ideal viewer. Why does that matter? Because when you make relevant content to the ideal viewer, then the algorithm actually knows how to categorize your channel. They know who you're trying to reach and what you want to be known for. So therefore, because it benefits YouTube, if you get views, if you get engagement, if you get traction. So then YouTube is going to start using its internal traffic sources like search, suggested, and browse to push more ideal viewers to your content without you having to work as hard. YouTube wants to work for it, but you have to tell it what to do, if that makes sense. So you might be thinking, well, ideal viewer for what? So this is where we build the business off of YouTube. Okay, so how do we actually do this? So it's called an online education business. So you might be thinking, well, I'm not a teacher, and I need you to understand something. An online education business is when you take the knowledge, the skills, or the experience you already have, and then you package it into something that can be taught to others. So why this works so well with the combination of YouTube and some other aspects, which I'm going to talk about in a second, is because ultimately YouTube is an incredible platform to share your knowledge and expertise. And like I said, you can have it work in your favor. So using YouTube to create valuable content for the people who need your skills and knowledge. And then from your videos, you get them onto an asset that you own, which is ultimately an email list, and the most valuable aspect of any online business, because it's not controlled by an algorithm, it's actually controlled by you. And then they eventually will become buyers of your online program, otherwise known as an online course. There's many terms for it, digital product, etc. But we have worked with thousands of people, from artists to DJs to doctors to lawyers to dancers and beyond. And whatever your field, there is someone out there who needs what you know. And the best part is, you don't need 1 million followers to do it. As you've seen, it's not about the quantity, it is about the quality of the folks engaging with your content. So sometimes the least amount of views can actually generate the biggest return because you're speaking directly to the person who needs you the most. So this isn't becoming, a YouTuber or even an influencer. That's not the focus. Will you build authority? Absolutely. But it's not the end goal. It's about creating something that solves a problem, teaches a valuable skill, creates a transformation for people. And if you're thinking, but if I'm giving out information for free on YouTube, well, why would anybody pay for my knowledge? Here's the golden secret. People don't pay for information. People pay for transformation. They want results. There's never been a more important time for people who actually know what they're talking about and can truly make an impact, because honestly, and you might be feeling this way, people are sick of sifting through the overwhelming amount of information online, and it's only getting worse with more and more creators. So people want efficiency, they want expertise, and they ultimately just want results. So whether it's learning a new skill, improving their career or their life or their relationship or their health or solving some problem, people want to get to that outcome they're after with the right guide in front of them to get them there as fast and efficiently as possible. And that very well could be you. So how do you actually create a transformation? Well, before you create any kind of program, any ounce of content or curriculum, we have to identify what we call the ideal client journey and the zero to hero journey. So what your clients want is a path to go from their zero state where they're challenged, they're frustrated, they're in pain, and they want clear guidance to achieve the outcome that they're after that will transport them from where they are right now, a place that they don't want to be, to where they want to go. So to design your curriculum inside of your program, you need to understand the zero absolute nightmare situation and their hero dream situation. So you need to guide them through a journey that takes them from their starting point where they're stuck to their end goal. So this means packaging up your expertise about how to do that with specific digestible steps that your clients can implement on their own. So that's where, once we identify the zero state and the hero state, we actually can bridge the gap with specific steps to take them on the journey to get from here to here. The problem that most people have is they think, well, I just have a bunch of information I know, I'm just gonna throw it into a program. What that does ultimately is it creates this really confusing path and people just give up and quit. And they also will say that your program sucks because it's not actually getting them any results. It's just giving them a bunch of information that they could have sifted through on their own for free online, but they're sick of doing that, so why they came to you, and you're not giving them what they want. See how that could be really frustrating? So how do you actually convert viewers on YouTube into clients? How do you reach them? How do you convert them and get them to trust you enough to actually invest into the transformation you can provide to them? Well, let's go back to the flywheel that we talked about earlier. So ideal client or ideal viewer is who you're trying to attract. You want to make really relevant content to what they would be searching out, what they would be trying to find in terms of a solution or an answer to their question. And then the algorithm is going to categorize your channel in a really helpful way to ensure that the traffic sources on YouTube are actually working in your favor. So this process does not rely on getting tons of views. Like I said, it really relies on something we call accuracy over audience. So we don't really give a crap about how big your audience is. We want to make sure that it's an accurate audience of only ideal viewers. Meaning that because you are only trying to reach your most ideal viewers, one view can turn into one client. You can do this by cracking the code on YouTube. So we're being on this platform for as long as I have been. It all comes down to understanding the 4 key components of how to make YouTube work for you. So this comes down to, like I said, relevant content. So in order to figure out relevant content for your ideal viewer, one, we need to know who they are and what their pain points are, which is why that zero to hero journey is so important, because ultimately we're really trying to appeal to the person at that zero state because they haven't achieved the hero yet. So bringing these people in here. So what would be questions they'd be asking, frequently asked questions? What would they be searching for on YouTube? What are other sort of content hubs they would be looking at, and what kind of content are they engaging with? Those are really good clues in terms of the kind of content to create. Then from there, we need to optimize. So YouTube is a very particular platform, and you need to create your content and optimize your content before you upload it and after you upload it in the appropriate way. That comes down to how do you structure the actual flow of the video for high retention? How do you complete the information when you're uploading your video on YouTube when it comes to the title and the description and any sort of associated keywords? All of that plays a part here. So when you script your video before you even shoot it, that's optimization. And we need to make sure that you're scripting your video in a way where you're getting into the meat of the content that people want to know as quickly as possible. That's something we call the hot script formula. From there, you want to develop the actual content. So having a very clear game plan here allows the development of the content to be a lot smoother, meaning when we actually go to shoot, edit, all of those aspects of the video. And finally, what we want to do is expand. And this is such a missed opportunity for so many people. What it means is, how can you leverage audiences that you maybe have built elsewhere or a network that you've built elsewhere to drive traffic back to your content? Because ultimately that gives you a huge unfair advantage in the algorithm to get a bunch of really quality eyeballs onto the content, which then boosts it in the algorithm, helps you get more algorithm categorization, and helps get more internal traffic sources to push your content out to more people and expand your reach. So it all kind of works in one little circle and cycle. So I mentioned Denver earlier, but I think it's helpful to hear more examples in different niches. So Brandon, for example, turned less than 4,000 subscribers into $1 million teaching his reverse selling system for real estate agents. Or Salome, who teaches German. She had less than 1,000 subscribers when she hit her first $10,000 month. Again, not because she went viral, but because she was focused on solving a problem for her audience through her content. And Richa and Lucy have turned their channel into $1 million a year business by creating highly relevant and highly valuable content in a very competitive space, which is the fitness space, and driving folks into their really phenomenal online program. So sharing your expertise to solve specific problems, that's where the real magic happens. And you want to remember, there are 3 billion people a day coming to this platform to learn something. So what's the most efficient and easiest path to generating a real sustainable income on this platform without a ton of views or subscribers? Well, we've gone over it in a lot of detail today, but it is to teach. If people are trying to learn something, all you need to do is focus on teaching something. So we need to ultimately disrupt your expectations when it comes to this platform, because they are not what you think they are. What you want to see in terms of metrics, they're not the things that actually make a big difference in terms of what you get out of YouTube. So while most people are focused on things like views and subscribers, approaching YouTube in this way disrupts those expectations entirely, and it actually makes it a lot easier and more predictable to succeed on your own terms. So your main metrics that you want to focus on, instead of those views and subscribers, become things like CTR. So CTR also, it's important to understand, CTR with the right eyeballs. So CTR stands for click-through rate. So why this is so important is that if people aren't clicking on your video, they're ultimately then not going to be able to watch the video and they can't take action. So this comes down to your thumbnail and your title, really. Those are the 2 key components of having a click-through rate that is high. Anywhere between 2 to 10% generally is a good ratio to look for. And ultimately, we need to make sure that you're getting the right eyeballs. So you wanna make sure your thumbnail and your title are, again, you're not gonna be surprised, are super, super relevant to your ideal viewer, because you don't want everybody watching your video. Because if you get people clicking on your video that don't actually care about your content, it's gonna hurt the next most important metric, which is retention. Retention means people are actually watching your video. I know that sounds weird, but if you have a thumbnail that is misleading, people are gonna click on it and not watch any of the video, and then you're gonna have a really low retention rate, which then ultimately kills your performance in the algorithm, because again, YouTube wants people to watch video content. They want eyeballs on the platform, they want time spent on the platform. So we need to make sure your retention rate is ideally 40% or above. That's the most ideal scenario. And then the final piece is qualitative feedback. And this is not something you can measure necessarily with a metric. You're ultimately looking for, are people commenting? And are they commenting with thoughtful comments, or just like surface level comments that are kind of throwaways? This is really, really important for you to focus on, because ultimately that tells you you're creating content that actually matters, that is resonating with people. And it's not just sort of drive-by viewing, but you're actually building a lot of loyalty and trust with the folks who are on your channel. So now that you understand why YouTube is a crucial part of creating an entire online education business, let's talk about the actual plan behind the business. So obviously the non-negotiable is you have to know something enough to be able to teach it. And I guarantee you, you do have a skill or experience that you can teach other people. And maybe you don't know that right in this minute, but I'm sure it will come to you. So here's the simplified sort of process you're gonna follow. Once you know what you wanna teach and what you wanna share with people, from there, we really need to focus on that ideal client, and who are the people who would be the most ready and willing to actually learn from you and take your experience and take your step-by-step process and put it into action, because those are the folks that we want inside of your program to achieve results, so that you can show that your program and your knowledge and your skills actually really work. And that's where that 0 to hero journey really comes into play, and understanding that. Now, step 3 is we're ultimately then going to package, once we know what the knowledge is, who we're offering it to, package it into a scalable product. So that's where we structure the product into what we call coaching at scale. And it's ultimately a packaged curriculum, a private community of ideal clients and members, and then group coaching, so that you can make a massive impact without having to trade your time for money. And you can reach way more people than you could if you're trapped by the amount of hours in the day or by a physical location. So the key is really to create something that people can buy and learn from without you, again, having to trade that time for money. And that allows you this unlimited reach and impact all over the globe in all different time zones. And it's really an incredible thing taken from somebody who's been doing this for nearly a decade. Now, the fourth step is relevant content. So relevant and valuable content. Start creating content that speaks to your ideal client. And most importantly, that your ideal client would be seeking out, and send people from that content to your CTA. So make sure there is a call to action involved. So either getting them on an email list where you can continue to nurture them with value and authority, or sending them directly to speak to you on, a discovery call, a strategy call to see if they're a fit for your program. So a discoverable platform like YouTube allows you to be found by your ideal client all day long on autopilot. This is very different than other platforms where you have to constantly push out content and hope that you show up in people's feed. YouTube is different. People are seeking this out, which makes the people on here much more quality, ideal clients who are actually there to do the work, which is really exciting. And then finally, enroll. So enroll and scale. You got to get those folks who are digesting your content and actually get them into your program. And from there, it's just a matter of the sky's the limit, because ultimately when you have a packaged program, you can scale to the moon. You can invite and impact as many people as you want into your program, and it's not going to rely on you or your time. So a really important factor here is when you are, scaling from a platform like YouTube, you're not selling on YouTube. Ultimately, you're getting people from YouTube off of the platform to engage with you and not forget about you and how valuable you are and what you can bring to their lives, their businesses, their relationships, whatever it may be that you're teaching. So the simple sort of funnel is YouTube video to a call to action, which ultimately could be a freebie that gets them onto your email list. And from there, they're either going to become a buyer now or a buyer later. That's how I like to think about it, because if they're on your email list, you're going to send them your YouTube videos. You're going to send them free content that's going to help them. So whether they buy today or 3 years from now, you're constantly every single day building authority with these people and attracting new people to your realm through your YouTube content as well. So even if you have nothing to sell right now, building a targeted email list from day one is the most important aspect of having a successful and scalable and long-term sustainable online business. So having clarity on what you sell is vital because of this aspect that if we don't know what we're selling, the content will be off and random, and then you'll attract random people, and then you will have no real buyers. And we've had a lot of people we know who have these massive audiences, but they are making absolutely no income from it because they're on the roller coaster of unpredictability of just relying on the platform, but they have no control off of the platform. So at the end of the day, the bottom line is this: YouTube is amazing. I love it, but it shouldn't be the end goal. It is a tool for your business, but it's not going to give you the financial stability you're looking for on its own. So if you're serious about building a stable, high income business, you need to think beyond this platform. You want to take your knowledge, your skills, your experience, and turn it into something scalable, an online education business that brings you consistent income without relying on algorithms, AdSense, sponsorship deals, blah, blah, blah. You're on the roller coaster if you're doing that. If you're ready to learn how to do this, comment case study below, and we're gonna send you a free case study to see the behind the scenes details of exactly how Denver did this so successfully in such a short period of time. 96 subscribers, 30 days, $100,000 in revenue. And if you want the blueprint to make money on YouTube from day one, I encourage you to watch this next. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.